What if the very ground beneath your feet could thrash violently, trees could break, but you stood perfectly still? What if the line between the world you walk in and the world you inhabit in dreams wasn't just thin, but, well, permeable?
It's a question that really challenges our fundamental understanding of reality, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's exactly the kind of fascinating concept at the heart of the fantasy book we're opening up today.
Absolutely. This exploration pulls threads directly from these pages, looking into a world where the boundaries you expect, they don't seem to hold.
Right. And much like the AI book analyses we offer on our YouTube channel, this is what we call a mindful moment.
Okay.
It's really designed to encourage reflection and critical thinking, not just about the plot points in the book, but about the bigger ideas they present.
So for you, our listener, we're stepping into this world. We're going to examine how characters grapple with twisted authority, encounter strange and sometimes dangerous abilities, navigate some pretty perilous journeys, and stand under the looming shadow of prophecy. We're here to unpack some really fascinating threads from this book for you.
Okay, let's start by looking at power. But maybe not in the way you'd first expect the power to define truth, and how that plays out within these really rigid hierarchies.
Oh, yeah. You see this so clearly in that scene with Pidgeon, Nile, and Caridin, right at the top of the Children of the Light.
Yeah.
Caridin tells Nile that the hand, which includes those feared questioners, seeks out truth everywhere to serve the light.
And that phrasing is key. To serve the light, not necessarily to serve the children of the light. And Nile, the Lord Captain Commander himself, openly questions if the questioners even see themselves as part of the children anymore.
Right.
I mean, that's a profound fracture right there within the very group claiming to uphold the light.
And you see the consequence of that fracture, the suspicion it breeds, when Nile presses Caridin about foam. Caridin's explanation is all neat and tidy. It was all dark friends.
But Niall's response just cuts right through that neatness. He points out the absurdity, Heard had just told him J.R. from Bornhold was basically Oddfriend for acting against the questioners.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, Caridin wants him to believe this same Bornhold, this supposed dark friend, led 1,000 loyal children to their deaths, fighting other dark friends.
It just doesn't track. The narrative collapses.
Right. And Caridin's only answer is deflection. Whether Bornhold was a dark friend will never be known.
Convenient.
Very. The truth, it seems, is less important than the explanation that fits the agenda. It shows how easily an organization claiming absolute truth can see that truth twisted from within. How internal power struggles can redefine reality itself, all while claiming they're serving some higher ideal.
It's a stark reminder, really. The definition of truth can be a weapon just as much as a tool, especially when people believe their cause justifies, well, anything.
And in this book, that twisting of reality goes beyond just politics. It gets into the very fabric of existence itself, particularly through dreams and the raw power flowing through this world.
Yes. The characters have such wildly different experiences with dreams, often unsettling.
Yeah.
Perrin, for instance, he's trying desperately to wall off his connection to the wolf world, right? To sit guards on his dreaming. He's actually haunted by wolves in his sleep.
Yet Rand tells him that dreams can tell true things. And Rand himself embodies this unsettling connection to deeper power. Remember that scene where the ground thrashes violently around him? Trees are breaking.
But he's perfectly balanced.
Exactly. And Perrin is just pleading, terrified for him to stop it, whatever it is.
It's such a raw, terrifying display of Rand's connection to the one power.
Yeah.
Something so fundamental he might not even be consciously directing it, but it warps the physical world.
And then you have the Aes Sedai channeling Sadar, the female half of the power. Egwene describes opening herself to it, feeling filled with light.
Like a glorious ecstasy.
Yes, that's the phrase. But she has to fight against being completely overwhelmed. The power is beautiful, but it's also immense, potentially consuming.
And she uses it directly, doesn't she, against a White Cloak's horse,
Yeah.
proving it has immediate, tangible effects on reality.
Right. And the book also introduces objects that interact with the power. You've got things that help channel more power, like Angreal and Sangreal.
Okay.
But the excerpts really focus on a third type, Terangreal.
And these are fascinating because they don't just help you channel, they use the power themselves.
Exactly. And their purpose is often a total mystery, even to the Aes Sedai who study them, like the Brown Aja.
And they can be dangerous.
Incredibly dangerous. They can burn out someone's ability to channel entirely, or even kill them.
Wow, okay.
One specific ter'angreal we see is this stone wing Varin Sedai gives to Egwene.
Oh yeah, the peculiar one. Blue, brown, and red stone. Too large for a finger.
That's the one. Egwene doesn't know what it does, but she feels this immediate, undeniable pull towards it. She just wants it.
And this ring is the key to entering Tel'aran'rhiod, the world of dreams.
Right. It's presented as a dream, yes, but then characters mention real-world effects, like scars acquired there, which is confusing.
Very. And Egwene's experience in Tel'aran'rhiod is deeply unsettling. She runs into a woman there, possibly Black Asha, and shields her with the power. But the woman insists nothing there affects the real world. Tel'aran'rhiod is a dream, she says.
But Egwene challenges her, right? Asks about the shield's effect when they wake up.
Exactly. Raises that crucial question.
Yeah.
If the power works here and the power has real effects, where exactly is the boundary between dream and waking?
And since getting this ring, Egwene's own dreams become, well, frantic.
Yeah, filled with visions. Men and women breaking cages, putting on crowns.
A woman playing with puppets tied to larger puppets, kings dying, queens weeping, battles.
Even specific threats like White Cloaks in the Two Rivers, Sha-Chan.
Right. The only dreams she thinks she understands are the ones of her parents. Just homesickness, she figures.
It really suggests this dream world isn't just symbolic. It might be a place where hidden truths, potential futures, or significant events actually manifest. And that puts a heavy, confusing burden on her.
And speaking of power, you see Nynaeve's raw ability, too. Her healing of Dalen is so profound, Egwene can't even grasp the weaves.
She compares it to weaving 4 carpets at once while blindfolded.
Which just highlights that even among those who can channel, there are vast differences in innate talent and power.
So this whole section really dives into the unsettling nature of this world's reality. Dreams can be dangerously real. Unknown artifacts unlock perilous dimensions. Power manifests in terrifyingly untamed ways.
Yeah.
What does that do to the character's sanity, their ability to trust their own senses when the rules are this flexible?
It's a fundamental challenge they have to navigate as their individual paths lead them across the world.
Okay, let's follow those paths now. See how our characters move through different landscapes, face dangers, meet unexpected allies, and reveal new sides of themselves on their separate journeys.
All right, take Perrin, traveling through the mountains. He's really attuned to his surroundings, isn't he? Recognizing bird calls as signals.
Yeah, the borderland bluefinch shows his connection to nature.
And he uses this skill to rescue Gaul, an Ailman, from a gibbet.
And Gaul offers this completely different perspective on the Ale War.
Right. He insists it wasn't a war, it was an execution.
An execution of King Laman for cutting down a Vendor-Aldera, the sacred tree.
It's such a stark reframing of history. Shows how different cultures see the same events through completely different lenses.
Definitely.
Gaul also reflects on the dangers of being away from home. Admits he and his companion Sarian were so long in these soft lands, they got careless.
Walked into enemies because the wind was wrong. They smelled nothing.
Yeah, even their senses are tied to their homeland.
Yeah.
And his blessing for Perrin, water and shade, just underscores those cultural differences.
Later, when Perrin's in a city, he feels that loss, right? Without the wolf connection.
He does. But his core identity as a blacksmith remains. In Master Avala's Forge, his actions are just instinctive, natural, impresses the master smith.
So his innate skills are still there, even when other connections fade.
Meanwhile, Matt's on his own journey, recovering from that dagger sickness.
From Shidar Logoth, yeah. He's taken to Tarvalon to be healed. Weak as a newborn lamb.
Such a contrast to the usual Matt. And in Tarvalon, he meets these figures of immense power. The Erlen seat, Siwan Sanche.
Her gaze-made ruler stammer.
Yeah. And Lin Sedai, the keeper. She gives that interesting advice to accepted. To lead is neither to push nor to pull.
Subtle point about influence.
And Matt also meets Selene, this woman whose beauty makes him almost forget to breathe.
He feels like he knows her, but dismisses it.
Right, and when he asks if she's Aes Sedai, her answer is just a soft but emphatic no, which is intriguing. Suggests she's something else entirely, hiding her nature.
He's also grappling with that weird luck, the tumbling dice. Dark one's eyes, he calls it.
And Tom recognizes it's not just good fortune, warns him about it. Matt himself questions the source. Aes Sedai luck. or the Dark One's luck.
It adds this layer of mystery. Is he in control, or is something else pulling the strings?
So Matt, tasked with getting Elaine's letter to Queen Morgacy, travels with Tom. They get attacked in a stable.
Right, men with knives. And Tom tosses him his staff, saying bad habits pay off in the long run.
Perfect Tom. Shows how unexpected skills, even negative past experiences, can be vital. And Matt's retort to the woman in the stable,
asking if she had to choose this stable to be murdered in.
Shows his wit, his resilience, even under pressure.
And they make it to Camlin. Matt uses a fake name, Tom Grinwell, spins the story.
Quick thinking.
Delivers the letter to Morgacy's and Gabriel. Shows his adaptability, that knack for improvisation.
Meanwhile, Egwene, Nynaeve, and Elaine are dealing with White Tower life. Discipline tests.
Moraine's warning to Perrin about dreams seems pretty relevant to them, too, after their experiences.
Definitely. They start their own journey. By river at first. The captain calls Nynaeve wisdom.
A reminder of her old life. And Egwene thinks Nynaeve needs to realize they're on the same level now.
Shows those shifting dynamics, the personal growth happening.
They meet Avienda, the Isle woman. And like Gaul, she gives insight into ale culture, her fear of flowing water.
Tied to her clan's history with the Drystones River, another striking cultural difference. And she echoes the execution idea about the ale war, reinforces that alternative narrative.
But their journey takes a dark turn. They get captured.
Yeah, held in a log palisade, guarded by men and 3 Myrddraal.
3 fades. And seeing one pick up a ring that raises immediate alarm bells.
So they try to escape using the stone ring, Tarangrail, going into Tel'aran'rhiod.
Right.
And there they find a woman held captive in the Stone of Tears cells. She seems subdued.
And Nynaeve just knocks her out.
With surprising decisiveness, yeah. Allows Egwene to grab a ring from her pouch, probably the same one the Fade picked up.
Wow. Tense. Shows her getting more capable, willing to take risks.
So these individual journeys, they really show us how the characters navigate this dangerous world, how culture shapes perception, how unexpected skills pop up under pressure.
And how luck, or maybe fate, seems to play a undeniable hand, drawing them all towards one point.
Exactly. And that point where all these separate paths carrying burdens of political suspicion, unsettling power, dangerous dreams, hard-won experience, all inevitably converge, is the City of Deer.
You really get a sense of Tyr's overwhelming presence when Perrin arrives. The city smells are strong, but he still feels that specific loneliness being cut off from the wolves.
Matt arrives. Egwene, Nynaeve, Elaine arrive. Everyone is just being pulled there.
And at the heart of Tyr is the stone, described as the greatest, oldest fortress after the breaking, built with a power immense.
Egwene, even having heard of it, isn't prepared, thinks it's a hill at first, before she sees the fortifications. The sheer scale makes it hard to believe it was even built.
And the stone's significance is huge, tied directly to prophecy. It will never fall.
Never fall until the people of the dragon come.
And here they are. Rand, Moraine, Lon, Loyal, Perrin, Matt, Egwene, Nynaeve, Elaine. All converging on this place, defined by prophecy and seeming invincibility.
Moraine states her immediate purpose pretty clearly. She came to stop Belal, one of the Forsaken, from killing Rand.
So there's a specific, dangerous threat layered underneath the larger prophetic stuff.
In Rurark, the Ale Chief there adds another layer of prophecy, that when the stone falls, the ale will leave the waste.
But Moraine questions that, right?
Yeah.
Says it's not in the prophecies of the dragon she's read.
Right, and she raises that critical question. Are the ale part of the pattern, woven by the wheel of time itself? Or are they being manipulated by forces like Belal?
Brings that theme of truth versus manipulation back, but on this huge geopolitical scale.
And what's drawing them all to the stone itself? Well, Rand is seeking Kalendor, that sword of immense power implied to be held inside.
And Matt feels drawn too. Feels Kalendor called to him. Suggests a connection beyond just knowing about it.
So, to get inside this supposedly impregnable fortress, they rely on an unexpected connection. Sandbar, a thief catcher.
He's wrestling with his own conscience, feeling he's betrayed something.
Yeah, but he offers a way in, a specific insider's route. Small gate by the river, used for prisoners, and he knows the women are likely in the cells there.
And Matt, ever the gambler, decides to pose as Sandar's prisoner. Says outright he's relying on his luck.
And Sandar's response is telling. Perhaps your luck will bring us out again alive. It's a direct nod to Matt's strange fortune, framing it as maybe their only hope against impossible odds.
So the convergence at the Stone of Tyr is where all these threads we've talked about really weave together.
Yeah, the corrupting influence of power, twisted truth. The fluid, dangerous nature of dreams and these latent abilities unlocked by mysterious artifacts.
The resilience forged on difficult journeys, the clash of cultures.
And the undeniable pull of prophecy and maybe fate itself.
It's a really potent mix. Political intrigue, personal struggles against huge forces, dangerous abilities, the weight of destiny, all focused on one single monumental place.
Exploring these kinds of detailed narratives, breaking down how these seemingly separate elements weave together into a complex pattern, that's exactly what we aim for. And remember that Mindful Moments and our podcasts offer these sorts of deep explorations, helping you gain knowledge quickly and thoroughly.
So, in a world where ancient prophecies seem to dictate events, mysterious artifacts blur the line between dream and reality, and the very definition of truth is a weapon. How do you figure out what's really happening? And what role do you think individuals actually play in shaping the pattern around them?
Keep thinking about those questions.
Subscribe to this show and maybe share it with anyone you think would appreciate this kind of analysis.
And if you're curious to explore more directly from this book yourself, you can find a link to purchase it in the show notes.
And as always, keep thinking critically about the information you encounter.